Hello, welcome to a new episode of 2020. My name is John Gerges, and I'm from the Church of St. Mary and St. Athanasius in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And I have with me this evening an amazing, distinguished group of young adults, the gang. And so we'd like to start with some introductions.
My name is Bolas Ibrahim, and I'm from the Church of St. Mark's in Scarborough.
My name is Sylvia Fahmy, and I'm from St. George Northfield.
My name is Mark Carlos, and I'm from St. Mark's, Scarborough.
My name is Mark Shervim, and I'm from St. Bishoy Stouffville.
Wow, aren't they amazing? The topic tonight, you won't believe it. Yes, it's about the prom. And we'd like to talk about this and introduce it with a question. Isn't it okay to go to the prom? Besides, it's just a dance, right? It's just a dance. Or is the problem the after prom? Or is the problem really just going and buying a very expensive dress or tux? So where's the problem?
I think prom is, to me, something necessary. You have to go to prom. If you go to high school, I think if you don't go to prom, you really just, it's the sort of culminating thing. It culminates all 4 years. The people you spent 4 years with, those are your friends. This is the one night where you celebrate your hard work. The hard work you put into high school. I think people give it a bad look because of the after party. I think you're in control. Prom is what you make it. You decide what prom is. Is prom, are you going to prom to get drunk? Are you going to prom to do drugs? Are you going to prom with a girl? It's what you make it. You decide how far you take it, I think.
Okay.
I personally don't think that prom, the event, is the problem. It's more of your intentions going into it. So if you have intentions, oh, I'm just going to spend time with my friends, having fun, and doing everything that you're supposed to do, then it's fine. But it's what you want, what you might get to do after, or what people might introduce to you during prom. That's the problem.
Okay.
I think prom, to be honest, it consists of dance, the actual banquet, dancing, food. People think it's such a big thing that they can't do in other places or other locations. You can come to my house, I'll have music, I'll have food, and we'll still have fun, and we'll be in an environment where you're with your close friends who, for example, from church, who will have the right intentions. But at school, if I'm the person within that clique and I think that we're all going to have the right intention, it's not going to be fun for me. Everybody's just going to go and do their own thing, and I'm going to be stuck there, thinking, God, what do I do, you know?
I think with the whole night, in a sense, prom, before prom, after prom, buying the suit, the dress, you could be walking on thin ice, in a sense. You could go buy a suit, match your date or whatever, go dance, then go to after prom, and technically do nothing wrong. But you're also exposing yourself to possible temptations, I think. Obviously, as the night progresses, there's more temptations. But it depends. I think it's a very personal thing. Some people, like Bolas said, they want to culminate high school. I went to prom personally, and I wanted to culminate my high school experience. But also, if you think if you're just going for the wrong reasons, if you're just going to get drunk or party with a girl, then you should examine yourself. And if the reasons aren't right, so to speak, then you should stay away from it. But it definitely does carry a negative connotation, I think, unfairly, and definitely. For some people, it could be a very celebratory thing. It could be I'm finished, I'm moving on, I'm growing up, and this is my last childhood memory, so to speak. So.
Could there be another way where you could celebrate the culmination of your 4 years with your friends? Could you do a party, just like you mentioned, at your house
I think it's
with
hard.
your friends?
It's hard because when you talk about church friends and school friends, there's a completely different, there's a thick line, right, separating us, right? So if I told that to my school friends, everyone would laugh at me. No, we're going to prom, right? We're going to prom and we're taking our girlfriends, and I would like to do the same. I'm going to prom. I'm going to take a girl to prom. I might not go to the after party because I don't want to put myself in that situation, right? I might go home early, or I might go out to eat with a couple of friends, right? But there's always going to be that group of people that want to do what they want to do, right? They want to have the maximum amount of fun. I can have the maximum amount of fun doing what's right, right? I know it's probably wrong to go to the party with the music, but I have to do it, I have to culminate high school. I worked hard those 4 years, I'm going to go to prom. But I just have to watch out. I have to be in control. Again, it's about control. don't let the event control you, you control the event, or you control the outcome.
I agree with what he was saying. You can culminate high school in a different way, and you might think of an idea. You'll tell your friends that idea, hey, do you just want to come to my house instead? They'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, we're going to prom. Like, we've been waiting 4 years for this, right?
Right.
So there might be different ways to culminate it, but I think it says a lot about how we are as a society. Prom becomes the ultimate way to culminate it. And nobody wants to culminate something that they spent so much time working on in like a not the ultimate way. They want it to be the best thing ever because they've been through a lot.
I also think that like prom is something that like it's kind of like a law, like you have to go. But in the Bible it says that all things are lawful, but not all things are right. So you have to examine yourself before you get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just think prom, it's all about the hype. But when you actually break it down, like what Sylvie said before, it's really just music and dancing and food. So that's just like any other semi-formal your school might have had. It's just the big hype that makes it seem like it's such a big thing.
It's a very expensive one too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like reach my base. You know? I'll hook it up. I'll make it.
It's a very expensive evening. I mean, you see people renting limos and renting tuxedos and buying very expensive dresses and getting all decked out for 2 hours. And a lot of people, they come back, they're kind of disappointed. You know, that they went and they went and spent 2 hours and spent all this money.
And have such high expectations.
The expectations are so high, and then they get deflated, you know, when they get there. I've heard some interesting things about setting guidelines. So some people will say, you know, going to the prom is an important part of culminating my high school career. But I've made a decision not to go to the after prom. That's a guideline. What about setting guidelines earlier? Saying, okay, well, I still want to go to this event, but maybe we can celebrate this event in a different way. We can celebrate it by having some good fun with our friends. But we don't have to go to listen to very loud music and dancing and where there's drinking and things like that. Is that possible?
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard to convince a group of people that that's the right thing.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I think for sure it's possible, but it also depends on how much you're attached to it. Once again, like I said before, I think no matter what you do, people don't just, or I can't speak for everybody, but I mean some people don't just celebrate it with just prom. They do go out to dinner with their friends on like graduation night and stuff, but I think it's how much you're attached to the event. If you're really, really attached to the event, then nothing can beat it, or nothing can beat that experience for you. And I agree with what you said before. People go in thinking that nothing can beat it, and they come out, they're like, oh, it was just another rite of passage thing. It wasn't that special. I wouldn't do it again. I think if I were to compare the amount of people that were excited for it and the amount of people that said, I wouldn't do it again, there was a lot more people that said I wouldn't do it again than they were excited. So that definitely says a lot.
Right. You know, a lot of people have the attitude that even though there's a fire, if you dress well, you can go through the fire. And it goes back to what you were saying, Sylvia. I mean, we are not fireproof. So by putting ourselves in a fire, we're going to get burned.
Yeah.
We're going to get burned. There's going to be some singes. As strong as you think that we may be, and you think, you know what, yes, there's going to be temptations, but I'm going to control myself. And even though the temptations are there, I'm going to resist.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For sure.
So we're going to get burned in one way or another. Why put ourselves in a situation to begin with, knowing that at the end of the day, the result is going to be some burning? We're going to get burned somehow.
Personally, I think it's kind of an experience thing. Like, if I have prom next year, so I definitely want to go, because I feel if I don't go, I might miss out on something.
Yeah.
Or, like, if the rest of your friends go and then you hear them talking about it and you're like, oh, I wish I went. So you might have that regret in the back of your head that this was my one chance to go, but I never did go. So you could carry that for the rest of your life with you.
So it's an event that is so important to go.
Seems so important.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Seems, but after the fact, like I said,
Even if
I
you
saw a lot
know
of
that
people,
after the fact it's going to be that, but you still want to go because it seems so important right now to you.
Right.
It's very hard to say openly, this might be a great experience, but I don't want to experience it because there is a fire. Because nobody wants to experience half of something. You want to experience everything. And I think that's how people get caught in the fire, so to speak.
Right.
But afterwards, maybe you'll find out that it wasn't as big as a part of the experience as you thought it would be. And it's okay to miss out.
But there's always that what if, like what if this turns out to be so much fun and I'll be missing out on that?
Which can be a very burning question sometimes.
Yes, it could be. I mean, it could be that, what if it's an amazing experience that I might be missing out in, but also to the other side of that, right? What if it could be a very negative experience, actually could get hurt from?
So it's also a good place to gather everybody to just, before they move on. It's a good way to like gather everyone to celebrate. But I also think so it has its goods and its bads, obviously, which we've spoken about. But I think that at the end we have to thank God for actually getting us through these 4 years in high school and celebrate with Him rather than celebrate with people that what have you done for me? What have you? Like there's teachers and stuff, but these teachers are the tools that God has given us. So at the end we have to celebrate with Christ too, which is very important in order to keep moving on in life.
That's a good point. And I wonder, actually, as we graduate from grade 12, how many of us make it a priority to thank God for covering us and protecting us, like we say in the Thanksgiving prayer, all these last 4 years, the point where we are going to graduate with a high school degree, high school diploma. And then the next step, getting on to, higher education, right? So I think that should be a priority, thanking God. I want to read a verse from Philippians chapter 1, verse 27. St. Paul tells us here, only let your conduct be worthy of the gospel of Christ. And if you think about your conduct, how can your conduct match the gospel of Christ? It's got to be pure. It's got to be holy. It's got to be truthful. It's got to have a lot of characteristics like that. So I ask you the question again, as we started. Could you go to the prom and let your conduct be worthy of the gospel of Christ? You may think that you can. It's hard.
You cannot say, because you don't know what's going to happen.
It's like a test or an exam. Yeah, it's predictable, but you don't know what's going to be asked. So, yeah.
So I think you have to, again, set guidelines to what you do. Are you going to the after party? It's probably a bad idea, right? Maybe going to the prom is like the maximum. That's your limit. Going to the dance and the dinner, maybe that's it. You should go home after that. Maybe if you want, you go to a movie. But like going to the after party, I think that's where you should set a guideline. So going to the prom is maybe the maximum.
I agree with what you said about possibly thanking Jesus as well as thanking our friends for being there with us. When I compare it, now that you said that, I'll spend a whole prom night, which could be from like in the evening till like 2, 3 in the morning. That's 7 to 8 hours. I don't think I thank Jesus 7 to 8 hours for getting me through high school, right?
Yeah.
So if we're to compare and contrast who we should be thanking more, then I definitely think that prom would be of lower priority. But as with anything, it's hard to, at least for me personally speaking, it's hard to say, because I went to prom for 7 hours, I'm going to thank Jesus for 7 straight hours. I'm going to go to church for a cumulative of 7 hours right after that. But if that's also at the back of our minds, I think that's healthy as well.
I think it's important that we thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for bringing us through 4 years of high school, and to think about thanking Him not only in words, but also with action.
Yes.
Right? As St. Paul says, let our conduct be worthy of the gospel of Christ. Right? Thank you so much for attending another session of 2020. And I'd like to thank the amazing gang we had for this evening. And we look forward to seeing you once again very soon. God bless.